how do you balance being the guy that America calls when they're struggling with something, and then the guy at home? How do you shift and navigate? Hey, all these people are asking for my advice, and your 14-year-old is just like, hey, how about you shut up, old man, and let me, you know what I mean? How do you balance that?
Well, I haven't done a good job of it, and you know that.
What does that mean?
I'm recently awakening to the fact that I've been parenting my kids as a coach because I love sports.
Yeah.
So I played sports my whole life. I always matriculated to the coach who was kind of the tough love.
Yeah, me too.
I knew my coach loved me, but he'd bust my butt and he was tough, and I responded well to people who pushed me.
Yeah.
And then I'm learning about the fear of a father.
What's that mean?
Well, it's the fear of the mother too, but for me, what it means is that you have this dream of being a parent, which I did, and our journey was very different and all over the place, as you know. And you finally become a parent, and you just want to invest and pour into these kids that you love so much you can't even possibly articulate it. And you go along, and then they don't turn out maybe the way you expected, or they don't do things you expected, and it's just the normal rhythm. We're not talking about major stuff here. And you begin to get controlling because you're like, oh, I'm afraid that they may not do this. I'm afraid that they don't. And then you combine that with this, I can coach, I can show you, I can teach you, I can convince you, I can influence you to do what I know is best for you.
Yeah.
And I'm passionate about it.
Yeah. I got bigger muscles than you. Like I can make you do this.
And so what happens is I do believe it started in the right place from the heart.
Yep.
But then comes out of the heart, starts making this is really not science, but I'm going to describe it this way. It comes from the heart. Somewhere it gets up here into the brain before it comes out my mouth, and it turns into coaching and controlling. And it's and it's been hard because you can't parent with platitudes. It's really easy for me to do that.
Yeah,
I'm just being really raw.
No,
I've had to stop being a coach, and I got to start being a dad, and it's still a work in progress. I'm making progress with my kids, but I had to stop coaching them, and I had to just be. How's that feel?
I'm
100%,
and.
But you're a counselor. Do you find that you naturally move to the counselor role?
So I
wish I did.
They beat that out of you in grad school.
Okay, good.
You cannot treat your. They'll tell you it's unethical, and we will hope to find out, and we'll take your license from you.
Well, that's good to know.
If you counsel your friends or your family, you can't have them as clients. That's not your job.
Yeah.
It's not your job to counsel your wife or your kids. But I default to coach, and what I realized was it was less of a moral failure and more. I thought I had way more tools, and I thought that I've come to liking baseball and fishing and hunting. Because those are the three greatest things. And anyone who with a rational brain, and old punk bands too. Anyone with a brain will understand that those are the four things you should spend your time and energy on. And if someone I love,
not there yet.
Well, I'm right. But if I'm my kid, I think, my son is super into 90s country, and I don't have a psychology for this.
Yeah.
And
that's right.
I thought, you know what? I just haven't explained it right. I went and bought CDs. We would take road trips where I found myself trying to convince a 9-year-old that he should be liking this over this. And it's
exactly
insane.
That's what I was describing, is that they may just they don't react the way to me that I wanted them to react to me. And all of a sudden I'm projecting my needs onto them.
Well,
and
it turns
behaviors.
into like, have you heard the so it goes back
I didn't know we were going to talk about parenting, but it's hard.
That's this show, man.
It's really hard. It's the hardest thing I'll ever do.
I disagree.
I'm willing to say that.
No, there'll be harder things. So I'm interested.
I'm not convinced of that, but that's okay.
How do you find yourself coaching?
My kids? Are we talking about
find yourself?
Kids? Yeah. Oh, geez, we're still there.
What is your backpedal mechanism? How do you when you catch yourself?
Here,
I'll give you an example.
That's good. Yeah.
The other day, my son was, you and I were talking about this. He said, "Hey, Dad, can I take some of your fancy lures to the creek? Me and his buddies. We're going to catch some fish." I said, "Dude, there's no chance you're going to catch any fish there. None. Zero. It's 2 feet of water." And he's like, "Okay, but we're going to go fishing. Can I borrow these?" And then I realized my data isn't going to solve this problem.
Yeah.
I've been fishing 5,000 times. You will not catch fish in there with that lure. Hey, but Dad, can I? You know what? Yes, great. And if you lose them, you're paying for them.
Yeah.
And then I get a text on my phone a few hours later from my wife. Hank wanted me to let you know that you were wrong.
Hank.
And they caught a fish.
Way to go, Hank.
And it made me happy.
Yeah.
I was excited. But I thought, when my default setting was, oh, that's so awesome, I thought, oh, that's a lot of therapy. Because I would have been pissed. Like, those guys caught a fish, and then I would have been mad at myself, and then I would have been ashamed, and then I would have been grumpy and a spiral and whatever.
Yeah, so my back pedal is becoming, I wish I could say I do it all the time, but it's getting to the point where now I'm empathizing instead of trying to equip.
Okay.
You know, that's the coach. You want to
So you're meeting with the heart, not with more info.
Yeah, I'm empathizing two ways. Number one, I first go, did I do something like that when I was that age? Probably.
Yeah.
Sometimes worse.
Yeah.
That's the first thing. The second thing is that I want them to feel that while I'm not thrilled with their actions, I'm crazy about it.
Yeah.
You talk about the Bible on this show?
Yeah. You can talk about whatever you want to on this show.
There's a well-known, whether you've ever been in church or not, if you've ever heard the parable of the prodigal son, look it up. And I've been in church my whole life, as we were talking. And recently, I saw something in that parable that I've never seen before. So when the prodigal comes back from in a place of shame, he's coming back. He's lost everything. He's filthy. He's nasty. He's been eaten with the pigs. And he comes back, and the way the parable is told, that Jesus tells it, is the father sees the son coming from afar off, and he's excited and he welcomes him, right? And I kind of always just kind of glossed over the rest of the story because I've always like, that's awesome. The father was glad his son was back. But nowhere in the parable does he say, come here, give me a hug. I told you so. I knew this was going to happen, but I'm glad you're safe. There was none of that. In fact, it's the next action. So the father does two things. One, he goes to the road to meet his son, and he sticks his arms out and welcomes the son. You're welcome. But it's the next step that I've never seen before. He goes, go prepare the finest dinner. Whew.
We're throwing a party.
That's next level. It's not. Unconditional love is you're welcome back.
Right.
I don't even know what you call that. We're celebrating that you're alive and that you're back. We're throwing a party.
You burned my money. You embarrassed me in the community. You split my family up, and I'm so glad you're home.
Let's go have chips and queso.
So glad you're home.
Yeah, so I was just telling my wife that I've not shared this with anybody. I was just like, that's the part that's so hard about parenting. The love is there, but I never saw the other part, which is I'm going to show you crazy, reckless grace and redemption. I think it's redemption. I think it's one thing if the father hugs the dude and goes, hey, let's go get you a shower. They threw a party. That kid goes from shame to what is going on here? I don't know, dude. I'm running with that.
No, here's what I love.
don't know
Here's
if
what I
that
love.
stands up theologically, but that's the way I read it.
Here's what I love about it is it's the person who was spurned who went first.
Yeah.
The person in power went first. And often
it wasn't about him. He wasn't worried about what everybody thought. There's where I struggle. I get so hung up in my kids' behavior or whatever, like, what are people going to think about me? It's like, would you stop it? It's not about you, you bonehead. It's about them. And I think the father was going, I don't care what anybody thinks.
even with his other son in the back going, hey, what about me?
Yeah, Uncle Larry's going, I wouldn't have done that. You know Uncle Larry was in the back of the going, I don't know about this. If that had been my boy, I'd have kicked his butt.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Of course. And we solved it with connection. Right? I'm going to draw you nearer than you could even imagine. Right?
That's trying to be my back pedal.
So you're leaning into, as a dad, you go first, man. And isn't it crazy? I do that too, Ken. Now that I'm thinking about it. Sometimes I look at my 11-year-old and think, well, you did this, so when you're ready to take the first step, it's like, what an idiot.
Caught myself recently.
He's 11.
Caught myself recently in just a normal, it wasn't a big thing. This is not a major fire.
Yeah.
It was just normal parent stuff, normal disobedience kind of stuff, or just bad decision. And I literally said it, but I couldn't get the words back. And it was, I'm sorry I failed you.
Yeah. Yeah.
I said that. My kid was like, literally like, what woke me up was my kid was like, no, you didn't. My kid. We're talking about teens that are like, they don't even know, they have no sense. And he was like, no, you didn't. It was me. And that's the issue there.
Well, one of my
dude, I didn't know we were
one of my
going here.
favorite
This is
things was
unbelievable.
talking to
I need some tissue.
when I got home and I told my son, I'm so excited I was wrong. Y'all are really impressed. Good job catching fish.
Yeah.
And he gave me a hug.
Oh, yeah.
But modeling for him, hey, here's what it looks like to say
yeah.
I was wrong.
I will tell you, some of the biggest breakthroughs for me is watching my kids respond to me going, I totally blew it.
Yeah. Yeah, sorry.
Like, I don't even have a good excuse. I blew it here.
Yeah. And I can't think of a greater gift other than food and water in treating our spouses with dignity.
Yeah, it's a great point, by the way. This is good. This is as good for your marriage as it is for your parenting. I mean, this is the same kind of stuff here.
So it's a good at workplace. When you go in,
yeah.
I go into Dave and say, hey, man, I said this. I didn't mean to say it this way. I'm sorry.
Oh, dude. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've had to literally walk into a coworker with a plate of steaming crow, cut it up in front of them and go, I'm going to eat this in front of you. Yeah. I got to tell you, but it's liberating because here's the whole thing. Let's circle back to some stuff here.
Yeah.
For people that are watching here, and because you're talking to people that feel like they failed beyond repair. That is such BS.
You didn't fail. I mean, you may have failed,
something.
but you're not beyond redemption.
Well, you failed.
Yeah, you screwed up bad, but you're not beyond redemption.
If you learn to eat the crow and you learn to see redemption on the other side of eating crow, I'm telling you, the greatest lessons are when we're willing to just eat that dirty bird.
That's when I can untether my ego from. It's not that I have to be perfect. It's the image of having to be perfect. If I can unhook from that, you're free.
Forcing to confront your failure makes it hurt even more than you already thought. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's enough for you to go, oh, geez, I just really screwed up and hurt somebody. That's your own recognition. But then when you got to go to them, it's like a screwdriver in an open wound. Am I right?
Yeah, it hurts,
to
man.
own it to them. But here's what happens. To me, as you know, it leads to healing.
There's freedom, yeah.
But it's also like, I don't want to feel that much more.
Yeah.